I'll give you $1 million if you translate this. The laughter that followed was sharp, echoing against the marble pillars of the Grand Hotel ballroom, ricocheting off crystal chandeliers and designer suits. It wasn't the kind of laughter that invites you in. It was the kind that pushes you out. At the center of that glittering crowd stood a boy in worn sneakers, his jacket 2 sizes too thin for the winter night, his fingers trembling not from fear, but from cold. In front of him, beneath the golden lights, a billionaire smirked as he held up a weathered, leather-bound journal filled with symbols no one in the room recognized. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in never judging someone by how they look, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that miracles often wear ragged clothes. The boy's name was Elias. He was 14 years old, though hardship had carved lines into his face that made him look older. His mother had once been a linguistics professor before illness took her strength and their savings. Now she lay in a hospital bed across town, fighting a disease that didn't care about unpaid bills. Elias spent his mornings delivering newspapers, his afternoons cleaning tables at a small cafe, and his nights studying from the library's free computers until the security guard flicked the lights off. Languages were his inheritance. While other children played video games, Elias sat beside his mother as she whispered poetry in French, recited history in German, sang lullabies in Arabic, and read folktales in Mandarin. Words were their escape when money was scarce. Words were their way of traveling without moving. That night, Elias hadn't been invited to the charity gala. He had come to deliver leftover bread from the cafe kitchen to the staff entrance. But when he heard the commotion inside, the laughter about a mysterious manuscript no scholar had decoded, something in him stirred. He slipped past distracted security, drawn by curiosity stronger than caution. The millionaire hosting the event, Victor Laurent, was known as much for his fortune as for his arrogance. He collected rare artifacts the way others collected stamps. The journal he now held had been discovered in a forgotten monastery, its pages filled with layered scripts, ancient, modern, intertwined like a puzzle designed to mock human intelligence. Linguists had examined it for months. Universities had failed. Experts had shrugged. Victor had turned the failure into entertainment. He called it his $1 million joke. Elias stepped forward before he could talk himself out of it. The crowd turned, confused, amused. Some assumed he was staff. Others assumed he was lost. Victor looked down at him, his smile indulgent. He repeated the challenge, waving the journal slightly. The room waited for the punchline. Elias asked to see the first page. The laughter grew louder. But Victor, perhaps bored, perhaps curious, handed it over. The moment Elias's fingers touched the parchment, the ballroom faded. He didn't see the chandeliers or the silk gowns. He saw patterns. He saw roots. He saw the fingerprints of languages holding hands across centuries. The top line carried traces of Latin, but fractured. Beneath it ran Old Norse inflections. Margins whispered in Persian. Symbols between the lines echoed ancient Greek shorthand. And then, woven invisibly through it all, were subtle grammatical shifts that reminded him of Hebrew structures. It wasn't 9 random languages. It was 9 languages braided into one voice. Elias began to read. At first, his voice was quiet, uncertain only because of the room's vastness. But as the words formed, confidence replaced hesitation. He translated line by line, explaining how one language completed the grammar of another, how a verb root in Sanskrit resolved a broken Latin phrase, how a Chinese character was being used phonetically rather than symbolically. The laughter stopped. The ballroom fell into a silence so deep it felt sacred. Scholars in the audience leaned forward. Phones stopped recording for amusement and began recording in disbelief. Victor's smirk dissolved slowly, like ice under sunlight. The manuscript, it turned out, was not a random experiment. It was a confession. A monk scholar centuries ago had written it as a testament to unity, believing that no single language could capture the full truth of the human soul. So he fused 9, forcing the reader to understand that knowledge, like humanity, is strongest when intertwined. Elias translated the final line with a steady voice. It spoke of humility, of wisdom found in the least expected places, of how pride blinds the powerful while hunger sharpens the forgotten. When he finished, the silence broke not with laughter but with applause. Slow at first, then thunderous. Victor Laurent stood frozen.